They say money doesn't buy happiness. It's one of those things people say so confidently, like it's just understood, like it's been proven, like there's no point even questioning it. And I think I believed it for a long time. Or maybe I just repeated it because it sounded right, because it sounds like something a good person would say. Money doesn't matter. Happiness comes from within, the simple things in life. Yeah, that sounds nice. It just doesn't feel true when there's nothing left to distract you. Because when everything's quiet, no noise, no scrolling, no pretending, you don't think about happiness. You think about everything that isn't handled, everything that's still waiting, everything that feels slightly out of control. And it's not dramatic either. It's not like something suddenly went wrong. It's more like nothing is fully right. Small things stacking up, quietly. The kind of pressure that doesn't announce itself. It just stays. Bills, time, options, what you can't do, what you have to say no to, what you keep putting off. And you try to tell yourself it's not a big deal. People have it worse. It's not that serious. But it keeps coming back. That same feeling that you're not really in control of your life. Just managing it, adjusting, working around things. And that's when the phrase starts to feel incomplete. Because if money doesn't buy happiness, why does not having it feel like this? Why does it feel like something is always slightly off? Not enough to break you, just enough to never fully relax. And maybe that's the part no one really explains. Because what does happiness even mean if your baseline never feels settled? Because when I think about the moments I actually want, it's not anything extreme. It's not luxury. It's not some over-the-top lifestyle. It's simple. It's quiet. It's ease. Not having to check yourself before every small decision. Not feeling like everything needs to be thought through first. Not feeling that hesitation, that pause, before you say yes to something. It's being able to exist without constantly calculating. And that's when it shifts. Because that doesn't sound like happiness. That sounds like peace. And maybe that's the part no one says out loud. Maybe money doesn't buy happiness, but it buys the absence of pressure, the absence of constant awareness, the absence of that low-level tension you've gotten used to. And maybe that's what I've been calling happiness this whole time. Because when your mind is quiet, when nothing is pressing on you, when you're not filtering every decision through what you can or can't afford, what else is happiness supposed to be? And I don't think people like admitting that. Because it makes everything feel more real, less abstract. It stops being a philosophy and starts being a situation. And situations are harder to ignore. Because you can't think your way out of constant pressure. You can't reframe something that keeps showing up every day. And over time, unless it changes you. Not all at once. Not in a way you notice, just slowly. You become more careful, more aware. You hesitate where you didn't before. You start weighing things that used to feel simple. You stop even considering certain choices because they don't feel like options anymore. And after a while, you don't question it. You just think, this is who I am. Someone who plays it safe, someone who doesn't take risks, someone who isn't that type of person. But maybe that's not true. Maybe you just adapted to a version of life that required it. And that's the part that lingers. Because it's not just about what money gives you. It's about what it quietly takes away. The constant second guessing, the background tension, the need to always be aware. And without those things, who would you be? Not better, not different, just less restricted, less filtered, less held back. And it's strange because no one really talks about that version of you. The one that never fully shows up. The one that exists in small moments, but never consistently enough to feel real. And you don't think about it all the time. You can't. Life keeps moving. You stay busy. You distract yourself. You tell yourself you're fine. And most of the time, you are. But then there are moments, small, quiet moments, where you realize you're not really choosing your life. You're adjusting to it. And that thought doesn't hit loudly. It doesn't shock you. It just stays. Because it explains something you couldn't quite put into words before. And suddenly that phrase, money doesn't buy happiness, doesn't feel comforting anymore. It feels unfinished. Because maybe it's true, but it leaves something out. It skips the part where your baseline matters, where your default state shapes everything else. Because it's hard to feel anything close to happiness when your normal is slightly tense, slightly restricted, slightly aware all the time. And maybe that's why the idea never fully landed, because it jumps straight to the conclusion without acknowledging what comes before it. And the truth is, I don't think I've ever wanted happiness the way people describe it. I've never needed constant excitement or some perfect version of life. I just want to feel settled. Like nothing is about to go wrong. Like I don't need to think ahead just to stay okay. Like I can exist without that quiet pressure in the background. And if that's peace, then maybe that's all it ever was. Not happiness, just the absence of everything that makes it hard to feel it. And if money is what removes those things, then it's hard to pretend it doesn't matter. Because it does, not in the loud way people argue about, not in the obvious material way, in a quieter way, in the way your mind feels when you're alone, in whether your thoughts feel calm or slightly on edge. And once you notice that difference, it's hard to ignore it. Because you realize it was never really about buying happiness, it was about creating space for it. And when that space exists, you don't question it. You don't analyze it. You don't try to define it. Your mind just settles. And maybe that's all I've been trying to get to. Not some perfect life. Not some constant high. Just that.